Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Rodney. How are you? Oh, Rodney, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah, I think he's working on it. Let's see if I can do that. Whoops. I think I pressed the wrong thing there. We're working on it, folks. We're having technical difficulties.
I think
I can't unmute you, Rodney. I tried to, but I couldn't. Good morning, Carrie. Glad you're with us this morning. I'm looking in the comments to see who's with us here this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and while Rodney gets his technical issues figured out, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to my new friend, John Mcclung, Jr., who is actually a friend of Rodney's. Rodney knows him a lot better than I do because I've only just met him, but I'm already very intrigued. So, and I know you can see the shirt he's wearing that says, I am a testimony, right? So, John, are you still there? Oh, okay. I think John is frozen. And so, can y'all hear me? Carrie, if you can hear me, would you please put something in the comments that you can hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
Hear me?
Yeah, and yes, now we can hear you too, Rodney. Great. And
Wonderful.
Chaplin has joined us too, and Carrie. So I think we've got everybody
Awesome.
now. That would be great. Yeah. So I just introduced John because, you know, you were having some technical difficulties. I thought, well, let's just go ahead and introduce John. But I haven't told anyone anything about him because I don't really know that much about him. So, Rodney, you want to do those honors, and then maybe we can, you know, find out more asking questions.
Well, I am on today. Welcome to This Way Network. You're in the chat, and I have had the pleasure. What a miracle it is to be able to have on a dear friend. He is an incredible. He is a public speaker. He is a motivator, and he is full of the Lord, Mr. John Mcclung. And he is also the owner of I Am a Testament Clothing Company. And I actually have a wonderful shirt on that he gave me. And I am telling you, everywhere I go, when I wear this, people look and I go, where did you get that shirt? And so if I can, John, welcome to the show.
Well, listen, what an honor, first of all, to be introduced to your team, as well as being a part of this. And I'm honored, man, that you, you know, reached out to me to be a part of your show. This truly is a great opportunity, especially knowing, you know, you from way back when. And so now it's always a pleasure to, you know, build new relationships, as well as know that, man, you're a good hype man. So I figured I appreciate the the introduction.
Hey, you know what? Listen, for something so wonderful as, you know, your ingenious, you know, just this brand, but it's beyond just a brand. It's your heart, it's your spirit. And so we were recently talking, and I was so excited to get you to come on and sit down with us a little bit today. But you told us something very special. And I was like, I've always wanted to do this. John, tell us and tell the viewers out there, you just got back from a trip to the Holy Land. What was that experience like?
So, you know, I've been fortunate enough to do two things in life that I think has made it an amazing impact. I got a chance to visit Africa a couple of years ago. And then, of course, being able to take this trip. And both of them have their own version of holy ground, you know, from a standpoint of, you know, in visiting. But to actually go through all of the areas and be able to visit and touch and experience things that I've read about, because I've been in ministry over 50 years being a PK. And so most of it is all reading material and listening, but to live it and experience it.
Yes, sir.
It's priceless. So, to know that you can actually touch certain things and be part of it, go through the historical information that was given through from our tour guide, and to see it, man, it's like, and I got a bonus because, I'm a chaplain. So I got a bonus. One of the, the bonus for me was I got a chance to baptize 11 people in the Jordan River.
Oh, wow.
And then also I got a chance to bring the message to the group that it was like 30 of us to the group on the Sea of Galilee. So, two things that I would have never thought would happen in my lifetime happened.
Yes,
and
sir.
so, to have those experiences, they cannot be taken away, man. I would definitely, if it's something, especially for those of us who have gone through, who are going through our Christian walk, if you have an opportunity in any way to experience that, please do.
Wow.
John, does it change the way you understand the Bible to actually be there where it all happened?
It's interesting. Before the tour started, because my wife and I went a day early. One of the ladies that came early made a statement, and she said, "You will never read the Bible the same." And initially that was just a statement that you take in. But as you begin to go through those days of the privilege, the pilgrimage, and see that, man, you will never read the Bible the same. And so, it definitely was. It was life altering, and then also it was overwhelming because
I can imagine.
It was over all the information, and then knowing that you're actually right in the middle of what was truly an experience that you only hear about. So it's been I still haven't come down yet.
Yeah.
And John,
so how
John,
long have you been back?
I've been back a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back a week. And John,
sorry to interrupt
you are the son. And John, you are the son of a pastor, and your dad was in ministry. Is that correct?
Yeah. That's true, man. He was one of the major or well-known pastors in our hometown, Long Beach, California. As a matter of fact, the church that he started is now in its 58th year, and so my brother is current pastor now there. But so me, the interesting thing, Rodney, is my father was extremely well versed in ministry. He was a great orator and teacher, and even some of the information that he shared in my lifetime before passing in 2000, I'd never experienced. I don't even know. I don't think he got a chance to go to the Holy Land. He went to Africa, but not the Holy Land, at least not that I know of. But so, to actually be able to do something that I've heard about all of my life, I could say all of my life. So, it truly does. It gives a different insight, on all the things I've learned.
Yes,
and
sir.
So it truly was an impactful trip.
When you walked on the streets there, and you went to Jerusalem, correct? Did you feel, I have always said to myself, I want to go to Africa, and I definitely want to go to the Holy Land. But I've always said, could you feel something? Could you really, really feel something?
Yeah, I think the most impactful thing, Rodney and Nina, is the mere fact that if you have been infused with the information over a period of time of that area, some places, when you hear Bethlehem and Jerusalem and Jericho and the city of David, when we read, we think they're so far apart from each other. And they're like within 30 minutes, they're like, right around the corner and up the block, so where we're thinking that, look, the Lord was walking these great distances, he was really just walking 30 to 40 minutes, maybe an hour at the max, based on the locations. So to be able to walk, because we did a lot of walking, but we walked those locations. The furthest place that we went to was the Dead Sea.
Okay.
That was the furthest place away, and again, the Sea is not really, part of all of that walking. It's just, the body of water, as well as the Mediterranean and Galilee, the Sea of Galilee. But all of those areas, the Rock, Bethlehem, where the Lord was born in the manger, and being able to see, even Rahab in the wall of City of David, and and we walked, because it's a very heavy Jewish community, right? The cities.
Sure.
Yes. We went to the Wailing Wall. where
Wow.
you put your prayer into the wall, and it was like, you know, all of the things that you've heard about where they're there and you see the photos and they're there praying and bound, you know, it's legit. You know,
Wow.
so you know, put your hand on the feeling that. So it was the connection was amazing. And the other thing is because of the heavy religious background from a standpoint of their communities,
Mhm.
you know,
Right.
there were people, you know, you know, people coming in and they were doing the walk of Christ to the cross with the cross. They had a cross, you know, and so they would do that walk. So we got a chance to do that walk. And so it was you know, you can't brush it off of you, you know, like you just
Right.
did this, right? It's truly an
Yeah.
imprint on your mind
Yeah.
and your spirit, so that you can actually go like, man, I lived this. So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. When you reflect back on your trip there, excuse me, what's the one thing that keeps coming, floating to the top in your mind of you know, your impression?
Listen, I would say the most impactful, and it's really two, Nina, but I'm gonna take the one. Uh, although I got
I'll take two. I'll listen to
so
them both.
so
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so the of course the most, you know, the overall was to experience all the places that we visited, you know, being able to
Right.
see the overlook and see the beauty of the area of Jerusalem and all of those.
Oh
But
man.
Nina and Rodney, nothing can take away from baptizing in the Jordan River.
Wow.
You
Man.
know, because I wasn't expecting, you know, while we were on the bus, you know, our tour guide, he had asked, is there anyone in ministry, you know, that was part of our group? And I was the only one from a standpoint of pastoral or chaplain and stuff
Really.
like that. So,
Yeah.
Wow.
he had let me know he was going, you know, he pulled me to the side and he was like, listen, I really want you to participate in these two or three things. Um,
Mhm.
I got a chance to also do the prayer after communion in the lower level under the upper room. So we had communion
Oh
downstairs
Oh.
man.
in the tomb where the Lord,
Oh.
in the area where the Lord stayed after the Lord's Supper before, and
Mhm.
we had communion. We had a prayer reading down there, and I did the prayer down there. So that was another thing. So what? So but really, baptizing everybody who wanted to be baptized, including my wife and myself in the Jordan River. You know, that was to hear and read all about the Jordan River. You know, so I
Mhm.
became John the Baptizer and John the
Yeah.
Baptist after doing the message on the Sea of Galilee on the boat. So
Wow.
Awesome.
yeah, so
Awesome.
those two things stuck because you know you can as anyone who visits, you can go and do all the visitation, all the walking, seeing all the, you know, the artifacts and things like that. But as a person that may be visiting, you don't get the opportunity to baptize. You get baptized, but
Mhm.
not baptizing. And
Right.
Wow.
right. So then you're not going to probably be asked to bring the message while you're
Right.
sitting in this calm water in the Sea of Galilee on the boat and bring a message to the people that is maybe a once in a lifetime thing. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, those two
Wow.
I would say would stick out the most.
That
Boy,
would,
that is
you know,
that's a that's a long way from Long Beach, boy. Woo-wee.
and I
Yeah.
have to think that was God ordained, because you
Oh,
know
absolutely.
it could have been so easily that there would have been
Yes,
another minister or two or maybe even three
Wow.
absolutely.
on the trip with you. So for you to be the
What a
only
word.
one, that's like God had you
That's
there
how
at
I
that
saw it,
moment
Nina.
and said, "Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, exactly. It was like divine.
absolutely."
You know, because you know, I shared something the other day with a couple of individuals that, you know, they were sharing that sometimes they feel like they're not in the right place or they're not things are not going
Mhm.
right, right?
Mhm.
And
Right,
I, you know,
right.
and I shared with them. I said, you know, it's interesting spiritually that if you say that, you're saying something negative about what God does for you, because He said,
Right.
I
Hmm.
will order your steps and I
Mhm.
would direct
That's
your
right.
path. So everywhere you are, you're supposed to be based on how the
Yeah.
Lord has you aligned. So we were
That's
aligned in
right.
that for me to be the one to actually
Hmm.
position and be prepared to do it.
Mhm.
That's right. Yes.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I tell you what, I got goosebumps when you talked about being in the very place where the Holy Spirit was first given.
Absolutely.
Just imagining that, and man, that's just
That's
so
beautiful.
powerful.
You know,
Yeah.
one of the things that, you know, because my wife being with me, I mean, it was extremely emotional for her to experience that, and for
Right.
me, it was like being in awe. You know, so you got a balance of two things, because I'm in awe of the mere fact that I had the privilege to do those things on the very ground that the Lord did them on. We went to Gethsemane to be able to walk around and, you know, and look at that that area in which the Lord had his, you know, one of his most amazing challenges, and to, you know, to be a part of those things and know that you have actually physically done them in the life that you're leading. And so for me, it's a different conversation now, you know, when we're
Right.
talking about
Right.
those things,
Yeah.
and a different way of impacting people's lives with it.
That's something else. Yeah, and I have to ask, because you talked about not only that you were there at the right time,
Mhm.
at the appropriate time, God had you there, but God had
Right.
prepared you before you ever got there. So now tell me, and I'm sure that's a longer story, but I want to hear as much as you can tell of how you came to be in the ministry. How did God save you? How did he bring you into the ministry? How did you end up having this clothing line?
So
I want all
so
of
you
it.
want all that? Okay. So and
Yep.
the
Yeah, all of that.
we can, and it's very simplified. See, I'm fortunate because being born into the ministry, as far as my father being a pastor. So all I've
Yep.
known is all I've had is a faith-based lifestyle. And I've
Right.
been, you know, my father built it from the ground up. So we helped him build, because we were part of, you know, the church being started. So
Yeah.
I came to Christ at a very young age, around 6 or 7 years old, because of I am truly a child that is a Proverbs child. Train up a child in the way they should go, and then when you get old, you will not depart from it. I'm truly one of those kids, even though I've had some
Right.
prodigal in there. But
Yeah.
Yep.
you know, to be able to understand it, because it was consistent in my life, you know, even to this point. And so
Mm-hmm.
coming to Christ at an early age, I was teaching Sunday school, man. Well, when I was 7 and 8 years old, and you know,
Wow.
so ministry has always been a part of my life from childhood. When my father was doing counseling, my brother and I would be sitting on the couch listening to, you know, him counsel. Rodney, you know, you remember the days of Anaheim Street, right? You know, Anaheim
Of
was
course.
one of our roughest street. My father had a 24-hour coffee shop there where people would come in and, you know, who needed to have counsel, and he would, you know,
Yep.
talk with them, lead them to Christ. And me and my brother was sitting on the couch at 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning with him, you know. So we've
There
been
you
around
Wow.
go.
all our life. So it's easy for me from a transition to actually talk into people when it comes to the
Right.
Lord, you know, being able to simplify certain things, in which I've done that in my
Mm-hmm.
life. And so that was the first phase, Nina, was, you know, being around ministry at an early age and coming to Christ at an early age. And then in the
Right.
middle, you know, I left home early. I left home when I was 18. You know, I was ready to
Wow.
go, because, you know, I had been around church all my life. So I became the prodigal son. And so, you know,
Oh.
Okay.
during the course of probably maybe the, you know, my teenage years all the way to my early adults and maybe my 30s, man, you know, I lived life from a standpoint of seeing what life was about outside of that. And it was
Right.
probably, some people say, well, why would you leave? Even now, I think probably one of the only things I would change was I would have spent more time under my father's tutelage at that stage.
Wow. Wow.
But the other part to that was I would not be able to identify with all the individuals that I was going to be accountable for, as well as
Mhm.
be able to talk with, had I not identified with some of the things that they had gone through. So I went through homelessness while I was out there in the, you know, I went through
Yeah.
unemployment, I went through, you know, tough relationships. So I learned those experiences to be able to share it
Yeah.
with them. And so
So what you're saying is, what I'm hearing is that the very things that some people on the front end of it would look at and say, "Oh, he's just ruining his life. He's just throwing his life away." But God actually had a plan for that, because he knew already, and he was
Right.
allowing you and guiding you even while you were doing that, preparing you for the future ministry that you had.
absolutely. And you know,
I love that.
my brother made a statement to me a couple of weeks back because we recently just lost my mom in the 1st of
Oh,
June.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
so that was
sorry.
that was a challenging month of June. However, he said preparation beats desperation, and that
Mm-hmm.
statement was based on the mere fact that we have been prepared for every area of life and death.
That's
We
right.
understood, we understood what it means to have your life in order, not only
Wow.
in order while you're living, but have it in order so that when you do pass,
Right.
people ain't struggling. So
That's
Right,
right.
right.
yes, so we have gone through that process, and then that led me in my 30s. I had an opportunity. Listen, Nina, Rodney, I went through this crazy divorce, at one time in my life.
Wow.
And I thought it was the most devastating thing because I never
Right.
expected it to happen to me, right? And so
Right.
during that, one of the things that I had opportunity to do was be a co-host. And at the end of the show, I would say I am a testimony.
That's right.
Had no idea what was going on, but that was in 2009. And then the Lord laid the apparel line. He's like, that's your business, right? And I'm like, what is that statement? And so in
Wow.
2011, I started the business. I didn't know anything about t-shirt businesses or apparel. I had no clue. And I started it from the ground up. And 10, 11 years later, I'm still doing it, having fun with it
Wow.
and changing
And
lives.
what
Yeah.
Yeah.
and what beautiful designs you have. I mean, I have to tell you, I am a testament clothing company. I mean, this is just not a statement on a t-shirt. I
Yeah.
mean, there are some really beautiful designs. And I'm so happy to see you after all these years. And I remember when we first connected, you said, Rodney, man, can I send you some product? And you see, man, still in mint
Absolutely.
condition.
Still, you
I
got the
wear it.
original logo.
That's right. And let me tell you something. I wear it, and I only wear it on special occasions. And I said, you know what? I got to get some more gear from you. But, looking at the world every day, with the past couple of years with COVID and everything that's going on in the world, having a statement on your chest, making it very clear that your walk is what you wear. You've got to say, what can you say to people out there who are going through things? And I mean, and of course, the beautiful part of this is you've been a man that was born in the ministry. The Lord let you go out and see the world for what it was worth, and you saw that it was just nothing. You were able to, and a lot of people don't realize that it isn't about, when in the body of Christ, it isn't about what you can't do. It's what you can do. You can
Absolutely.
love sports. You can start an apparel company. You can do so many wonderful things, but having it as a God-centered life, because that's where it's all going to come back to. It's going to
Yeah.
come back to that. Whether you accept it or reject it, it's there. It's always right there before you. What can you say about what you see going on in the world today?
The interesting thing is one of the most powerful things that happened on my trip was I was sitting in the airport. We were on our way back. And I'm sitting, my wife and I are sitting, and a young couple, well, not a couple, of brother and sister were standing maybe about 20, 30 feet away.
Right.
And the young lady came over and sat with me. She said, I love your gear. She said, matter of fact, I just Googled you and it's you. It's like the picture behind you is what she said.
Yeah.
She said, it's you. I said, you did what? So we started talking. And one of the things that I love about what the Lord has blessed me with, and then I'm gonna answer your question, is that you are a testimony from the time you're born to the time you die. It's one of the rare apparel statements that everybody can actually wear, right? And so I'm fortunate to have the responsibility of really making sure as many people get into it as they can, because they are. And because of that, we each have a story or testimony we can share about our life. And what the apparel does is says, here's an opening that in most cases people will not come forward and talk about what they're going through or what they have gone through or what they're in. But you can say, man, I love that shirt. Why are you a testimony? And and you have that opportunity to share. And then the person who sees it is going to say, I'm a testimony too. Will you listen? So you got two people blessing each other with their own stories. And that was the whole premise of I Am a Testimony, including the verse that is built on, John 3:33. He that hath received his testimony has set to his seal that God is true, which means your testimony is certified and stamped and approved by God. And so knowing that, when you look at today, one of the things that I have been recognizing, having many conversations about, is many people are lost in the fact that they have no idea what their purpose to do.
Yes,
they have no clue of what's going on or what direction their life is supposed to go in. So they're wildly in the wilderness. We have a lot of wilderness moments going on right now, and that is a difficult challenge, because if you do not know what you are designed and divine to do, you will be wandering in the wilderness, lost like the Israelites. And that was one of the things that I looked at. I'm like, they're lost because they were given an assignment that they chose not to do. And so that's just like each one of us. We are purposed for something here on earth. And if you don't know what it is, you're wandering around without a purpose. And that's a thing in life. So if you're at the sound of my voice, the whole premise of your existence and being is, one, to glorify God, and two, to find out what your purpose is. Because once you do, then you can throw yourself into it. It will never let you go. As much as you try to fight and get away from it, your divine and design purpose will not let you go until you do it.
There it is.
So how can people figure out? How can people figure out, John, what their purpose is? How should they go about looking?
That's a great question. And that's one of the questions that I do get asked, because here's the thing. You will find that there is something that grabs you in such a way that you can't let go of it, and it can't let go of you, because it's built into your gifts and talents. When you find out that you're gifted, and here's the thing, because even biblically, the word gifts it can come with just a T, or it can have an S on the end, because you might have one gift or multiple gifts. But the moment that you find out, because it's not hard, there's something that somebody says to you, you are really good at that, but you'll deny it because it's something you feel like you're not supposed to be doing, or you don't want to do, but you're good at it.
But if someone else feels it,
that's when you start to know, because your gift is undeniable. It's undeniable. That means if you're a singer and people are saying, man, you got a great voice, you got to challenge yourself to step on a stage, or just do it in front of a mic, or just sing in front of a group. I don't care if it's two people, to actually find out if that is your gift. And if it is,
step out on faith. Step out on faith. That's right. Everybody, you watching the This Way Network. We're on with Chaplain John Mcclung. He is the founder and the creator of I Am a Testimony clothing company. Please give out. Where can people find more information about this incredible clothing company?
Listen, I Am a Testimony Apparel.com. You can type that, or you can type in the initials, IAAT333.com, www.IAAT, which is I Am a Testimony, 333.com, and that'll take you to the website. And then my name itself, John Mcclung Jr., you can actually go to my site, johnmcclungjr.com, to find out more about myself. And all
I'm looking forward to that.
And he's also available. And he's a speaker. He's a speaker, so he can be booked, everybody. All of that in a bag of chips. Man, thank you. Thank you, Chaplain. God bless you, man. We're going to have you back again. We're going to do a deeper dive into you. And the time is gone. Nina, wrap it up.
Thank you, everyone, for being with us this morning. Thank you in particular, John, for being with us. I cannot wait to get on your site and order a t-shirt for myself. Maybe the next time you come, I'll have one on. Yeah. Or a hat or something. I'm going to have something.
Absolutely.
So, but thank you for giving us that information. Thank you for telling us about your trip to the Holy Land. So excited about that. You're making me want to go for sure. And Carrie and Jacqueline, Chris, Margaret, all of you who joined us this morning, and those of you who didn't comment, but you're there, we appreciate you. And y'all,
Yeah.
be of good courage, because
Amen.
God is with us and we are not alone. Bye,
Yep.
everybody.
God bless. See you. Take care.